What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to a brand new episode of Maximus the Fourth. What I have on my right hand to your guys' left is a vintage bottle of Crystal Pepsi from 1992. And then what I have on my left hand to your guys' right is a vintage original bottle of Pepsi Blue from 2002 to 2004. The title of today's video is going to be Crystal Pepsi versus Pepsi Blue. Which one is better? In today's video, I'm going to walk you guys through some of the histories of both Crystal Pepsi and Pepsi Blue, and I'm going to hit some key points in what happened with both of these sodas, and I'm going to give you guys my 2 cents on which one I think was better and which one I think could have organically been the best one and which one was artificially the very best one. And then at the end of it, I will give you guys a taste test, letting you know exactly what I think about both of these flavors. And then that will be the end of the video. So if you've clicked on here, make sure you sit back, relax, fasten your seatbelts, and relax. Enjoy the show. Get your popcorn, because we're going deep today. So starting out with Crystal Pepsi. Crystal Pepsi was first released in 1992 because Pepsi was trying to compete with Vanilla Coke. It was then later on discontinued in 1993 due to poor sales. PepsiCo then reformulated a new clear cola soda called Crystal from the makers of Pepsi because they wanted to try to come out with a new clear cola soda to see if it would be successful. That was not Crystal Pepsi. Make no mistake about that, because the ingredients were different. Well, by the time the release of Crystal from the makers of Pepsi was out, it was discontinued that same year, and it failed way worse than original Crystal Pepsi ever did. There's also been some very short time releases, I think both in 1994, of Crystal Pepsi in Spain and both Germany. And I think that was pretty much it as far as Crystal Pepsi is concerned. Now moving up, in 2005, in Mexico only, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a soda that came out that was only available for the holiday seasons only in 2005. This was called Pepsi Clear. All this was basically the same thing as Crystal Pepsi. They used the same exact formula for this soda, except it was under a different name and packaging. And that one, out of all the Crystal Pepsis, is one of the more rare ones because it was only available in 2005 for the holiday seasons, and it has never seen a re-release ever since. Now moving up all the way to, I think, 2015, because of the great help from the LA Beast, the famous YouTuber, starting such a crazy campaign and then succeeding to get PepsiCo's attention, Crystal Pepsi, it did come back, I think in 2015, but only on a website called Pepsi Pass, and you basically had to save up a certain amount of points so you could buy some Crystal Pepsi from that website. And then they released, I think, like 16,000 six-packs, which was a sweepstakes item, and you had to follow PepsiCo's instructions to try to get a chance to win one of those six-packs. Then in 2016, it was official. Crystal Pepsi was back for a limited time only. And then it made another re-release in 2017 for only a limited time. Then it was discontinued. And then it made another re-release in 2018 for a limited time only. And then I think in Canada or Germany, one of the two, it made a re-release in 2019 But then in 2020 and 2021, it took a dip. People didn't see any traces of Crystal Pepsi. And then in 2022, there was a Pepsi sweepstakes item that was available for only winners. They were very numbered. I think there was like somewhere around like 8,000 6-packs, and it was the 30-year anniversary edition of Crystal Pepsi. So they were very limited bottles. And in 2022, Canada did do a re-release of Crystal Pepsi, but that's pretty much it. Now, let's talk about Pepsi Blue, on the other hand. Pepsi Blue was first re-released in 2002 and 2004. It was discontinued in a lot of countries in 2004 because of a highly controversial chemical agent that made this soda blue, which was blue number 1. Now, Canada and both the states were pretty much the first 2 countries to take this hit when the discontinuation period happened with Pepsi Blue. 17 years later, fans, after begging PepsiCo for it to come back, in 2021, PepsiCo brought back Pepsi Blue. And Pepsi Blue has never seen another release ever since. And this one was also released, I believe, originally to compete with Vanilla Coke, just like Crystal Pepsi was. Now, let's talk about some key things about both Crystal Pepsi and Pepsi Blue. As I said earlier, Crystal Pepsi was originally discontinued because it had poor sales. Now, if you would have let Crystal Pepsi sit and try to grow organically based on what the consumers thought about it, I think that would have been more fair to figure out which one was actually naturally better. And because the LA Beast made a movement, he caused a lot of people to really want Crystal Pepsi, even though it really was never that successful of an item for nostalgic reasons. So when it came back in 2017, the demand was very high for Crystal Pepsi, but for nostalgic reasons. People fell in love with the soda because of him. Now, on the other hand, Pepsi Blue, when it came out in 2002 and discontinued in 2004, I'm not so sure that PepsiCo even had plans to discontinue it in the first place. And because it was discontinued because of Blue number 1, I think that that is a very unfair disadvantage that Pepsi Blue suffered. Up to this very day, Pepsi Blue could have been around for 21 years now, because if it was first released in 2002 and now it's 2023, this could have been around with the same formula for 21 years. So there's really no telling how successful Pepsi Blue could have been because of that. Now, if you would have let these two sit organically and just nothing bad happened to either one of them, and you just let the consumers give you their take and show you how popular either one of these are side by side by letting the consumers buy it, I really do think that Pepsi Blue could have been the undisputed winner. The reason why Crystal Pepsi did so well with its re-releases, again, it only comes down basically to because of the LA Beast putting up such a huge petition. So as far as my theory goes, Crystal Pepsi versus Pepsi Blue, as far as organic reasons go, which one's better? I think that if Pepsi Blue was never discontinued in 2004, just because of a controversial chemical agent that turned it blue, I strongly believe that Pepsi Blue would have been the undisputed winner. Now, when you're looking at it on paper, no matter what, rather there's people like the LA Beast that push this item, whatever you have it. On paper, Crystal Pepsi ended up being the undisputed winner as far as sales probably went. So in that regard, because of all the activity that actually did happen with Crystal Pepsi, there's been more activity with it. So as far as the numbers go there, Crystal Pepsi is probably the undisputed winner on paper. Now, Pepsi Blue, it was still available in places like Malaysia, the Philippines, I think even Mexico as well, if I'm not mistaken. In some regions of Asia when it was discontinued. So you could tally up some numbers for all those regions that it was still available in, but just not for the US. But I firmly believe that, yeah, Crystal Pepsi was probably the undisputed winner as far as the actual numbers went. In that Pepsi Blue, if these two would have sat organically and just grown naturally, I think Pepsi Blue would have absolutely freaking clobbered Crystal Pepsi. Now that we are at the end of this video, it is time for me to taste test both of these items, and I'm going to let you guys know exactly what I think about them as far as the taste goes, and then I will try to give you a scale rating on 1 through 10, letting you know exactly what I think, and then that's going to be the end of this video. So here we go. Starting with Crystal Pepsi, to your guys' left, and then Pepsi Blue, I'll use the old bottle just because I opened this one recently. Okay, so in spite of the massive age of this 1992 Crystal Pepsi, that actually doesn't taste half bad. Let's try Pepsi Blue. Oh my gosh, that Pepsi Blue is just to die for. I'm instantly getting hit with just a robust amount of berry cola fusion that those blueberries and raspberries, they just swarm your taste buds like crazy. Very refreshing, and it's got that beautiful aftertaste of cotton candy. Now, initially taking a sip of Pepsi Blue and both vintage Crystal Pepsi, Pepsi Blue is absolutely the winner. No doubt about it. Now, if this was a fresh bottle of Crystal Pepsi, would it win my opinion over vintage Pepsi Blue? I don't know, because this is a vintage bottle and it's it's over 30 years old. So there's really no way that I can know. The only way I could have known is if I was doing a video right now from 1992 when this was first released and taste testing it. That's the only way that I could know. So as far as natural tasting goes, these both being fresh, I can't even tell you which one would be the winner because I just don't know. And just tasting that alone, even with the aged taste, my theory is still that even though if this bottle was fresh, I still don't think it would be better than Pepsi Blue. I can just kind of imagine and taste through all of this as if it was completely fresh, and I still do not see this beating Pepsi Blue. There's just no way. Yeah, see, Pepsi Blue is absolutely destroying Crystal Pepsi right now as far as the vintage taste testing goes right now. Okay, guys, so my final thoughts is, Crystal Pepsi versus Pepsi Blue. Which one is better? As far as numbers go, Crystal Pepsi is the undisputed winner. Had there have been natural movement from both of these, and people weren't pushing either one of the items like the LA Beast did, which is totally legal, I think Pepsi Blue would have been the bigger hit. Now, off of the taste test of both Crystal Pepsi and Pepsi Blue, in my own personal opinion, Pepsi Blue is the absolute undisputed winner. No questions asked. Hands down, way better. Alright guys, that's it. Maximus the Fourth here. I am signing out. I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.